Hola, amigos. I get to be here on a Monday. Some of the teachers are switching up the days this week, so I hope that doesn't mess up your week. I was excited to come here on Monday, though. I found something really interesting on my bike ride the other day. I was by a lot of birch trees, and there was some that the bark had started coming off. Now, we have one of these birch trees at school, and sometimes when you get close, you can see how this bark starts coming off. It just peels right off. I thought it was so interesting how the inside's a different color and it's very smooth. And I'm not sure you can see it, but there's very small moss and lichen plant on there somewhere. I thought that was very interesting too, and how thin it is. So that's what I chose to put in my nature journal this week. It says this piece of birch bark is smooth on the inside. It has a very small moss and lichen plant growing on the outside. And here's my picture of it. Now I also wanted to share someone famous from our book, from the People Awards. And today we're going to talk about Frida Kahlo. Frida was born in Mexico in 1907. She died in 1954, and she was a very famous artist. She grew up in Mexico, and at the age of 6, she caught a disease called polio, which damaged her right leg and left her with a limp. Here's an illustration of her at her house. It was called the Blue House, or in Espanol, Casa Azul. That's the language they speak in Mexico. And to this day, this Casa Azul is a famous museum that shows about her life and her work. Now, Frida went to school and she worked really hard. She studied to be a doctor, but then when she was 18, she was in a terrible bus accident. She broke many of the bones in her body and was in constant pain for the rest of her life. While Frida was recovering, she began to paint. Even though she was in so much pain and she was sad from it, she decided to do something productive, and that was her painting. She finished her first self-portrait the following year, and in 1928 she met a well-known Mexican artist named Diego Rivera and asked him what he thought of her art. He encouraged her to pursue her talent, and they married the following year. Frida's work was often very personal, showing what was happening to her and how she was feeling. She painted pictures of herself at important moments in her life. Her paintings show her when she was lonely and in pain and reflected her sadness that she couldn't have children. That's possibly what made her so important and to other people, to see that you could put your emotions out there and not be ashamed of them. Today, Frida's thought of as an inspiration to women for both being creative and brave. This illustration over here shows how she often dressed. She was well known for her brightly colored clothes and jewelry, and from a young age, she wore the traditional Mexican Tehuana clothes with long skirts. These showed her support for the indigenous Mexicans, and it helped hide her injured leg. This illustration down here shows her with another famous artist. This is a picture of Pablo Picasso. And in 1939, Frida went to live in Paris, and there she established her paintings and became friends with some of these famous artists, including Pablo Picasso. This illustration down here tells an interesting story. In 1953, at the age of 46, Frida had her first solo exhibition in Mexico. That means that her artwork was going to be on display for people to come see. Now, she was very ill, but she came to the exhibition's opening anyways. She came in an ambulance, and she spent the whole evening chatting to the guests and celebrating in this bed that they set up in the room so that she could see the people and talk to them, the ones who were coming to see her painting. So even though she wasn't feeling good, and in much of her life she was in a lot of pain, she still stuck with what she really loved to do, which was the painting. This is something she said she was very famous for. Feet, what do I need you for when I have wings to fly? Now, she didn't really have wings, but what she meant by that is that she could get a lot of things done that were important to her, even if her feet didn't work the way she wanted them to. So that's the story of Frida Kahlo, and we're going to make our own book about Frida Kahlo. See. Frida Kahlo. Now, she was from Mexico. They speak Spanish in Mexico mainly, and it's called Mexico. That is on the continent of North America. Does anyone remember what's special about North America? You're right, that's where we live. And that continent on our world map at school is orange. I sure am missing those puzzle maps from school. It's been a long time since I've seen them, and I don't remember exactly the shapes, but I'll do the best I can. Well, this is North America. In Mexico, the country of Mexico, it is down here in North America. Let's see, what else do we remember about Frida Kahlo? I remember that when she was 6 years old, she got polio. And do you remember what polio did to her? It damaged her leg so that she could never walk normally again. And I would imagine that she had some special braces, a little bit like a cast around her leg to help her. Let's see, I think she had black hair. It looks like she had her hair up a lot. Maybe some, oops, that's purple. Oh, I don't know if I have black. I'm going to use the pencil. Kind of had some braids up. Let's see. I'm going to come back later and do some colors, but I remember that they talked about this making her feel really sad. Let's see, what else do we remember about Frida Kahlo? I remember when she was 18, she got in a bad accident and broke a lot of bones, and she spent some time recovering. Maybe she was in bed for that time, and she started doing some painting. And she made a picture of herself on how she was feeling. It was very powerful because she showed herself feeling sad and feeling like she was in a lot of pain with her body trying to recover. This showed some people that it's okay if we're sad and we're feeling pain. It's okay to talk about it and share it, and she did some painting with it. I'll have to come back and put more colors in this later. Let's see what else. She was such an important woman of Mexico, and I really liked what she said about having wings. Now we know she didn't really have wings, but it meant that she could do big things even if her legs didn't work. And remember, she wore those long skirts that were special to the Mexican culture. I'm going to give her some wings. That'll help me remember that special thing she said about how she doesn't need feet. She doesn't need her body to work perfect. She can do what she puts her mind to. I'm going to put the word important here because she was so important to the Mexican history. To show people how to be brave. That's my book of Frida Kahlo. I'll come back later and do some more coloring in there. Now, boys and girls, you'll want to tune in later this week because I think there's a teacher who's going to do an artwork about Frida Kahlo. She's going to show you something that you can do for art, just how Frida Kahlo did it. So you'll have to find that later. I hope you guys have a great week. I'm really missing you.